Hi everyone, my name is Z. No, lay down. My dog is joining me here. Um, lay down. My name is Z. I'm the fairy medicine woman. I have a very specific and just really healing um, session that I want to share with you today, and it's around healing through a dark night of the soul. This has been something that has come up quite a bit as I've been journeying with folks through my group session with Z School for the Gifted and opening up your clairs and being a part of the 144, and if you consider yourself chosen, and even if you are just considering yourself a person in this world, there will be times when you will experience a dark night of the soul, or if you want to call it depression. And as someone who has for a very long time lived with depression and PTSD and anxiety and other things, um, I know what it is like to go through them consistently, and I know what it is also like to elevate out of them. And I've worked very closely with a lot of my clients to be able to help them elevate out of it. So I'm going to share with you some of the tips, and hopefully this lends you a deeper understanding, because it's also important right now, wherever you are in the world, to be able to acknowledge the things that you are going through. There's a lot happening, and there is a lot of people experiencing a lack of safety, a lack of love, a lack of community. And I'm an activist and generational healer, so I want to ensure that you have the tools to be able to help yourself, because not everybody has access to healthcare, to healing circles. And so I want to share this knowledge with you and hope that it helps. So if you're seeing this video, I do invite you to watch it even if you are not experiencing these things. There are moments in our life, especially as 144, as healers, as light workers, whatever you call yourself, earth angel, where we are going to be around people who are going to need help, or we are going to be visible enough to share and aid in resources. And so it is also our responsibility to ensure that we have the tools and understanding of how we can help others if they choose to be helped. So a few things that I wanted to point out about a dark night of the soul. It really comes down to understanding that it is possible to elevate out of it. That is the biggest thing with healing in general. Knowing, feeling, embodying, and starting with the fact, or having a faith of a mustard seed, that your life can be better. You can be happy again. You can experience love. You can experience positive thoughts again. You can be with a community, see your family, whatever it may be. Again, like, it is fully possible, and I want to start with that, because without that little glimmer of hope, without that understanding, it's very hard to continue through your journey, because your energy and your mind is basically telling you that you will never make it out, right? So it is also coming down to an understanding of yourself and how your body and your mind move, and how you move throughout the world, and how you are now going to choose to interact with information. And then it goes down to reconditioning yourself. So there are steps to be able to help yourself, and I just also want to share that it's going to maybe look different in the spiritual space, which is why I am a woman of science, and I'm also a spiritual person, and I am also an activist. So I believe in joining them all together to ensure that people are not codependent on one thing, and make sure that they are not spiritually bypassing and harming themselves and harming others. So that is like the basis of how you're going to begin to navigate this space in your life moving forward. And the reconditioning is also really important in understanding that your mind and your energy and the way you are thinking is conditioned to paint a very specific reality for yourself that now you have to go through, either with someone like myself or with other people, with the community, and shatter that reality so you can see what's actually going on, which is life is a lot better than you are being told to believe by your own body, right? Out of preservation or things that you may have gone through before. And we also have to understand that there's going to be many triggers in our life, and we tend to be very linear in our thinking and believe that dark night of the souls can be triggered from just relationships, or just something that is coming up in this phase of your life, which is true. But there's also many, 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 many other triggers that could be happening in your life that you have to be able to see, you have to be able to witness, you have to be able to be aware of, so you understand what's happening in your life, right? So it's not just the people that you are interacting with, it's also the food that you're eating, what you are drinking, what you are consuming on social media. It's also going to be the social aspect of your entire life, right? What's happening in the government, what's happening politically, what's happening across the seas, what's happening when you walk into a grocery store, how you are being perceived or treated as a person depending on how you present, femme, non-binary, like whatever it may be. All of these things are going to add to what is going on in your life that can lead to a dark night of the soul. And so we have to understand that we have to have more than one tool to be able to navigate life and to also not cause harm to others, right? That's something that we also need to pay attention to. And it's really also coming down to two really important things when it comes to elevating out of a dark night of the soul, or elevating out of a deep state of depression, or elevating out of heavy energies, right? It's a balance of doing your deep healing and also curating your space. So both of these are something that I work with my clients in More Than Worthy for a bit of time. So I'm going to give you like a crash course of what it actually means, because people tend to shy away from healing because it can have this daunting feeling. But healing is an ongoing thing that everybody has to do for the rest of their life, right? Healing can also be you sleeping. Healing can be choosing to eat different. Healing can be many aspects of your life, but it's a balance of being intentional, of choosing to change your life is how I like to see healing. And then going back to curating your space. And the way I kind of explain this to my clients is, we are all like trees, right? Trees have the concentric rings when you look inside them, and that's how you can tell like how old a tree is. And so we're going to basically take the same approach to our own lives. We have to start with the inner circle. We have to start with who we are, how we show up in the world, what we are feeling, having a deep understanding of our inner workings. And then we move to the outer concentric circles outside of us. And one of those concentric circles is curating your space. But in order to curate your space, you have to know how you are predictable, right? How you actually have cycles. So understanding those cycles is going to help you curate a space for yourself, from the aspect of how you wake up, your clothes, your environment, your people, like you surround yourself with, your phone, right? Your job, like everything in your space, meaning everything that you come into contact with. Anything that is outside of your physical body is curating your space. That's what it falls under, right? It's really, in my program, the second half of the journey, because the first half is getting to know yourself. The second half, now that we know who you are and how you navigate and what you're dealing with, what you've been through, we can curate your space, so then you have things and tools around you that will naturally entice you to be able to change, to support you even excuse me, on days when you feel like it's a little bit more challenging, right? And coming to a deeper sense of acceptance that it may happen again, right? Like, and that's what we have to also understand is people try to outrun dark nights of the soul. People try to um, force themselves into feeling better because they fear what happened before. And so all of those feelings that are forcing you to change it, that are driven by fear, of sadness, of anger, right, are all going to be uh, red flags that we want to pay attention to. Because when you do hit a moment where maybe you are going back into depression, or maybe you're going back into a dark night of the soul, you want to be able to take it with ease and allow whatever needs to come up with, again, the understanding that it is temporary. And so when we can start acknowledging that for ourselves and for other people, we can be able to heal and move out of it. Because what happens is, sometimes when we are so conditioned to believe everything that is happening in our lives that can feel quite heavy, there's no way out. And so when there's no way out, people unfortunately find a different way out. And so our job now as healers, such like myself, is to teach people that you are never stuck, and there's always a way out, and there's always light at the end of the tunnel. And it's a matter of um, being guided through it, and allowing also different types of help into your life. And as someone who is spiritual, like many of you on this page, sometimes that can come down to your religious beliefs, sometimes it can come down to your spiritual community, sometimes it comes down to your ancestors, right? So it's important to also surround yourself with really good high frequency energy that's going to also be able to communicate with you um, throughout this journey. And you know, I really think about how important curating your space is when I was reflecting on my own journey, which is why I like to share my story with people, and which is why you should share your story if you've made it through you know, certain aspects of your life, especially if you consider yourself a healer, a teacher, or a light worker. It's you're obligated to do that. So you know, I was thinking about, you know, one particular year where I had lost 7 people in my family back to back, and then at the end of the year I had lost my best friend unexpectedly. And it was a huge spiral into one of the darkest phases of my life. And then from there it was like hardship after hardship after hardship. um Getting divorced, you know, having things happen to my body, like experiencing like homelessness, like many things had happened. And if it wasn't for the resilience that I had, and if it wasn't for my spirituality, if it wasn't for the very uniquely curated space that I had made around myself, I never would have made it out of any of that. I should have never made it out in the beginning. Like, I don't even know how I made it out of college and the horrible things that happened to me then, right? So like, I share this all to say that there will be horrible things that may happen in your life, or that we may witness in other people's lives. And so we have to be open to the possibility that things can be better again. And I remember even telling myself that, and even like trying to love myself, because there were many moments during these dark night of the souls where you will be by yourself physically, you will be in your own space, to heal. Sometimes that's intentional spiritually, and sometimes it's of our own making, and sometimes it's a necessity to be able to invite a different type of healing into your life. And you know, that's why I always love to connect people with their ancestors and their guides, because feeling again that energy around you, and them communicating to you and supporting you and helping you and guiding you to teachers like myself, or to other pages, or to communities, is really going to help you. And there were moments in my life where I just sat and I prayed, and I remember not being able to get out of my physical apartment in the beginning. I couldn't leave. My mind wouldn't let me leave. I was stuck. I was physically stuck. And that became my true reality in my mind. And so I prayed, and I came up with ways that I could like enliven my space. And it took me a while, but every day I did something, whether it was ordering um lights, and I would create an in-home theater. Like, I was creating things and asking for information and praying and ideas and getting these downloads so that I could get the help that I needed. And then a spiritual teacher popped into my life, and then they led me fully out of the dark, right? So I had these unique moments in my life. And so I also say this to you, to be open to different ways of healing on this journey. But again, knowing that having that small seed, and telling yourself, and if you need to listen to subliminals, if you need to listen to whatever it is, different types of meditations, allow yourself to do that, and allow yourself to be open to change even when it feels hard. And do your best to remember the moments where life was good, because your mind is going to tell you that life was never good, and that's not the case, right? um and another thing is remembering that you are not your mind. The mind will always tell you that you are your mind. Your mind is always going to make you believe that it is your only way to live. You are not your mind. Your mind's job is to protect you, to complete sequences, to interpret information, to lessen threats. So if your mind and your body was so traumatized by you being outside, right? Like, if we take my example, being outside and being with certain people, that was the trauma that was caused in my life. And it also happened within my family, that my mind then did everything it could to protect me and keep me from my family, to keep me from going outside, because it categorized all of that as an immediate threat and an immediate danger. So when we can understand that that is what the mind does from the minute you wake up in the morning, it'll give you some relief and understanding that you can choose something different. And now it's a matter of journeying with your mind to teach it that that's not a threat, right? That's the deconditioning work. And that's why it's so important in any journey. And I tell people this all the time. It's one of my first questions. When are you meditating? How often are you meditating? When are you in stillness? Because that moment, first thing in the rising, right, when you first wake up, is going to dictate how the rest of your day goes, how the rest of your week goes. And so if you can meditate, even if it's listening to subliminals or listening to high frequency music when you first wake up, your mind begins to understand that when I wake up in the morning, it's time to relax. It's time to ease in. It's time to not become the full manufacturing system that it likes to become, right? We recondition our mind to slow down, to realize that life is not a threat. So that's also something to take into account when you are healing through your dark night of the soul, and you are elevating out of depression. Even if you are new to meditation, taking those beginning moments are so important, because for anyone, if you are experiencing it right now, or if you have in the past, that like when you wake up first thing, um, sometimes it's really hard. That first moment can be the moment where you are crying, the moment where you are angry, or you wake up and your energy is a little bit off, and it can be very difficult to like shift your mind, shift your reality into something better. And so when you have your tools and resources and things curated around you to be able to help yourself get into a different energy, that's when the magic happens. That's when the healing happens. And that's when you can really start to change your life permanently, right? I am a testament to this. My clients are a testament to this. And I use this same method of helping them no matter what they've been through. It doesn't matter the trauma, they will get through it. I've had clients who have had the worst eating disorders, the worst body dysmorphia, the worst like divorce, and like hardest time in marriages, and panic attacks, and not being able to speak up for themselves, shaking, like can't keep food down. Like, I've had a lot of different clients, and this same method, which, I'm giving you like 0.01%, but this is generally how you would go through the healing journey, like, is always going to get you out the other end in the light. It always does. It always happens, and it always works. I'm not kidding you. I'm not kidding you, because when you understand again how your body works, you can chemically change your body, you can physically change your body, and you can energetically change your mind, body, and spirit, and that becomes your new reality. And then when that happens, your clairs also begin to develop, so you can understand your spiritual side even more, and your spiritual team is going to step in to help you move along on your journey even more, right? So that you don't have to feel so heavy, you don't have to feel so alone. If you do go through another dark night of the soul, your spiritual team is going to be knocking on your door so hard. And then your soul tribe shows up. And I even notice this on days when I'm having a rough time. My phone will not stop going off. It like will not stop going off. And very specific, like, people from my soul tribe just start showing up, start messaging me, asking me how I'm doing. It's because we start to pick up on each other's energy. And they like energetically want to help, or they just want to, like, their soul is being called to come. And it's the same thing for them. Like, I'll know when something's going on, or I'll get visions of them, or I'll say, hey, it's your heart chakra, all randomly, and they'll just say thank you, right? So it's like we have to allow ourselves to evolve beyond just putting band-aids on what we are feeling, what we are experiencing as a society, and actually do the deep healing work so we can move forward in life, so we can have better lives, right? Especially in the States, we don't have preventative health care, so allow this information that I am providing to you to be your preventative health care. And in those moments when you are doing really well, this is a beautiful time for you to curate your space to the point where you have all the tools that you need. So if something does happen down the road, you know you're going to be okay. Your soul tribe knows you didn't fall off the face of the earth. Like, you are healing, and they're going to come in. It's to the point where there's certain foods that find me through like one very specific person that like heals my body. And they know, like, I will hear the fruits and I will hear the messages from the ancestors, and they're telling me what to eat, and then someone from my soul tribe literally gives it to me. They ship it to me. I've been in different states, and they shipped me so many things. And one of the foods is like homemade pickles, and I know that's for my inner child. And when I'm doing deep inner child work, like, it's just one of the most healing things for me. And then other preserves and stuff like that, and like chutneys and whatnot. So it's like you are so held and protected. And I just really wanted to share those with you. And a few things also before I go is also allowing yourself to grieve. I'm actually going to be opening back up um, the grieving sessions or grieving circles in case we need them during this time. I'm being called to do that. I feel like the energy is also ready for that to happen again. um, and we can't be afraid to grieve, because the energy has to go somewhere. It like If the energy stays within our body, that turns into illnesses, it turns into body pain, it turns into um, a relentless mind, it turns into questioning our own existence, our own life, our own worth, right? And so the energy has to be expelled outside of your body. And you also see this in hoodoo and voodoo and many other cultural practices where there is a need for a movement of energy, because you don't want to hold it, you don't want to keep it, you don't want to carry it. It's like carrying around a bucket full of rocks and wondering why you can't make it up the mountain. Right? Like, it's like you have to leave those rocks behind to put the rocks back on the mountain so you can keep going. And like, yoga is going to be really healing for you if you are going through these stages, doing it at home. Sometimes it's just a matter of stretching. Sometimes it's a matter of watching YouTube in front of your TV. Sometimes when you are at the stage of being able to go outside again, it's booking those yoga classes so you are physically not alone. And joining classes if you have the accessibility and you have the money to be able to do that for yourself. It's going to be important. Stop doing things at home when you feel the urge, when you have that urge and you are in the dark night of the soul and you have that urge to go outside, run with it, and run with it as fast as you can. And book things for yourself. Like, that's exactly what I would do. The minute that I had that, I'm gonna open the door, I'm gonna get in my car, I'm dressed. I booked everything. Like, even if it was in that one day or for that week, like, I told myself I'm gonna go to the store. I booked a yoga. I booked as many things as I could in one day, and then I told myself I was gonna end the day at the beach and I was gonna watch the sunset because I love sunsets. And so you can do things for yourself that are going to encourage you to get outside. And you know, I love coffee, and coffee is very, actually extremely ancestral, but we're taught to abuse it basically. And I would use coffee and beans and cacao and things to heal myself when I would get into the dark nights of the soul. And because your body loses nourishment when you are in these lower frequencies, because you're not eating, you're not drinking water. And so I would make these really delicious like coffee drinks that had cacao, and I would put ghee, and I would mix coconut milk, and I would use all these different spices that I had because I also am a cook. And I would drink that because there was a point where I couldn't eat anything. I was just drinking things, and I couldn't even drink things in the beginning, and I would like fall out of bed, right? But eventually when I would get curious about stuff, then I would make it to the kitchen. I would drink these really delicious drinks, and then that nourishment gave me enough to sit up on the couch, right? That nourishment allowed me to feel grounded. That nourishment allowed me to connect with my ancestors, from, you know, different places across the US. And, you know, a lot of those moments, that was the first time that I had met some of my ancestors from Tenochtitlan, right? And so, like, it was in these moments where I had to open myself up to to different things. But again, like, be easy with yourself, and when you see those opportunities, like, take them and give yourself grace. And, you know, always surround yourself with the best people, because they're going to understand and they're going to love you through and through. Anybody who questions what you're going through, who doesn't make it more easeful for you to go through your healing, are not people that you want to be around. So if you're in a good stage in your life, now is a time for you to like clear out all these spaces and make sure that you are surrounded with a ton of love. Because also, which we don't talk about, is as 144, as chosens, as light workers, as earth angels, we are faced with very unique circumstances of um of being faced with healing in a different sense. Right before all of our breakthroughs, our prosperity, everything comes to the surface so we can be rid of it, because we have bigger purpose in life. We have a brighter light to share. In order to share that bright light, we have to get rid of all of the dense, heavy energy that lives within us. So our healing work is very different than everybody else's. Our healing work requires a different understanding, requires tools, requires a very deep knowing of Spirit of God, the divine, to help us through these literal miraculous moments, right? Like, so that we can tell people without any shame, without any judgment, without any fear. Like, do you know how many miracles happen to me in a day? Right? Like, these are conversations that we are having. These are conversations that I have every single time that I try to share with you all. So know that you have a very unique path, and so you need unique tools. And I invite you to, below in the comments, let me know some things that you do in your life to help yourself. If you have questions, please stop by Z's School for the Gifted. It is so much more than just coming and asking how your clairs work. It is a comprehensive group. I am an energy reader, as I mentioned. Hey, knock it off. I'm also a healer and a speaker, and I have a very deep understanding of the sciences as being a woman of science, and going to school for it. My little puppy right now. Excuse me, ma'am. So this space is very uniquely curated. You're not going to find anything else like this, I'm telling you right now. So come ask your questions. If it's about Dark Night of the Soul, if it's you just want to hang out, you just want to get to know people. Someone in the group recently was talking about just being in community because they live in the US, and they had a government job and how difficult things are. And so these are things that you are more than welcome to come and talk about. You are welcome in this space. Spaces for healing. This page is very different. It's not just going to be spirituality and messages from the ancestors. I'm going to be sharing with you as many resources as I can. And just last night, I launched on Substack a new blog, which I'll also post for you all. It's dry humor, and it's called Adventures of a Single Chugillennial. And if you are wanting some joy in your life, I'm going to be sharing aspects of myself with a little comedy as well to kind of uplift everybody's spirits. And again, I'm sending you lots of love, lots of hugs right below. If this was helpful, write anything that you really want to share. If you are interested in taking this 6-month journey, I highly recommend you reach out to me as well. Usually if you attend a Z School for the Gifted, it gives you a different type of access to the mentorship. Otherwise, I will interview you, I will do all the things to get to know you and ensure that it is a beautiful space for you, and you will be held, and we're gonna go top to bottom. Literally, I go through your health, the people you are around, your spirituality. A lot of times your physical body will end up changing, your career. There's many things that we go over, and I teach you how to advocate for yourself. So again, long-winded goodbyes, but this was a message that I didn't want to rush. It was very specifically requested from the divine, and so I wanted to share this with you all and send you ancestral love and hugs. So stay tuned for more coming, and I'm gonna have a lot more resources for you all, so don't be shy. Again, comment below, and I'm sending you all lots of love, lots of hugs. Take care of yourself, be gentle, and know that you are just super duper fantastic. Bye everyone.